Very good. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Kimberly Cravens here with Dr. LuAnn Moratto.
Good evening.
This is Recharging Chat. We're here together. So tonight we are going to talk about drainage. Drainage 101. Why is it the first step with what we do in CellCore? Before we get started, of course, there's our disclaimer, which is what we are sharing here in these videos is just educational, informational. It's meant for you to learn, and it's not meant to treat, diagnose, cure any one person or any one situation, condition, ailment. So to anyone that's new to CellCore, this is of the utmost importance, understanding why drainage? Why is this the first step in any of the protocols? It's a trendy term, detoxification. I'm detoxing. But there's so many different cleansing regimens, right, out there. Many people go about it the wrong way, and they end up getting actually worse because they're not draining properly. And when you consider all the toxins that we pick up in the air, in our food, in our water, never mind the ones that are generated by unwelcome microbes and things like that, the instinct of a typical person might be to detox as fast as possible. I want to get this out ASAP. And that approach could really backfire. So it's really crucial to support the body's pathway for toxin elimination. And that's where the drainage pathway comes in. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. So,
yeah, most people go into a detox and they jump right into cleansing, or they jump right into detoxing. And there's so many different ways so many different things you see. I'm going to do a juice fast. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But if you're not properly prepared, then you will run into issues. If not now, then down the road.
Yeah.
So if you think of the body as a vast city, and each house in the city is like one of the cells of the body. What if every homeowner took the garbage out and then they put them outside, but the trash was never collected, right? It would pile up and it would create problems. Well, this is the same thing that can happen in the body. If you start pulling out toxins and there's no place for these toxins to go, they pile up, and that would heighten the very symptoms that you're trying to improve. So for this reason, an effective regimen for detox starts with drainage. And the first step in CellCore, foundational or comprehensive protocol, is always drainage. And sometimes we even go back and work in drainage in different parts of the regimen that we're doing. We might send somebody go back and do more drainage.
Yep, exactly. And this is the drainage funnel, which most people have seen, but if you have not, this is what it looks like on the left when it's flowing perfectly, and on the right, we have some problems. So we're going to talk about this. And so the order is obviously the colon at the very bottom there. That's large intestine, and that's at the bottom for a reason. If that is backed up, everything upstream from it can become overwhelmed and backed up as well. So that can happen when we get constipated. If you've ever had that, you know what it's like as far as not being able to effectively remove the waste from your body and the toxins. And that needs to be cleaned out. It's of the utmost importance. So when you push a detox without first supporting this drainage pathway, it can really set people back. And when you're constipated, it's like a waste processing plant in a city that does not empty its tanks. It's extremely hazardous to the entire city or body. Similarly, if you try and force upstream detox when the outflow isn't moving, issues will pile up.
So you need to poop regularly, meaning every day, multiple times a day. This makes room for the waste and the toxins that are upstream to flow downward in this elimination process via the stools. So if you're trying to detox and restore your health, you need to poop 2 to 3 times a day. that doesn't mean watery stools, but gentle elimination without straining. And there's quite a few ways to
Yes.
support regular elimination.
Yes, and we'll come back to that when we get to the next step. So some ways to support that are herbs that help move the bowels. So that's aloe vera leaf and ginger root, other intestinal moving herbs. And that will help stimulate your gut contents to be released. That will combat constipation, and CellCore has Bowel Mover, which has all of those essential herbs inside of it that help with that. So we have Bowel Mover here.
So, well, with bowel mover, there's a lot of different ways to use it. And so when you do use it, contact us and we would like to help you walk you through that. But another one of the carbon technologies that CellCore has is made from natural extracts of fulvic and humic acid. It's CT, anything that has CT in front of it with CellCore is carbon technology, which helps to bind toxins so you can eliminate them. But now we're talking about the bowel mover. You could see the ingredients that are listed on here.
Yeah, so there's obviously the things we talked about, in addition to a bunch of other wonderful ingredients, black walnut hull, and then you can see the benefits of it. Obviously, it's helping with your digestion, gut and immune health, and then gentle bowel relief. Key word there is gentle. It's not going to be anything that's terrible. So we just wanted to show this visual. And the next one was the CT technology, which is the carbon technology, which pulls out all kinds of agents in the body.
It binds toxins. The carbon technology is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen that's infused into the things like we have biotoxin binder, CT minerals, different types of technology that they're using. Promotes, like this one particularly, the biotoxin binder. It helps really to promote a healthy microbiome, and it encourages regular elimination. With the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen that is added to this biotoxin binder, it's supporting the system while it's removing the toxins with the carbon technology. For most binders that people use are just going in there and pulling and eliminating things from the body. This is doing it in such a way that it's adding health to the microbiome and restoring cells as as the toxins are being removed from them. They're actually getting restored and repaired in the process.
Yeah, the other thing to consider is having a fiber-rich diet. So fiber helps to bulk up stools, and that makes elimination easier. So good sources of that are obviously fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts, things like that, other plant-based foods. And we all know the things to avoid, which are the fun things. Things that might cause constipation: gluten, alcohol, processed grain, processed food, some dairy, fried food, fast food, things like that.
Some other ways to help the bowel movement is doing physical activity. This is going to help combat constipation. Making sure you're moving your body regularly, even gentle forms of exercise like walking and qigong and tai chi. These all help to move your bowels and get things flowing.
Keep constipation at bay, especially drinking water. So being perfectly hydrated. I mean, what's the solution? Just regular hydration. Not having enough fluid intake can really affect your body's level, and therefore you can become constipated if you don't have enough hydration. So be sure to drink plenty of distilled water, we like to say, because it's the best water to drink.
Yeah, and if you have a long history of constipation, you're initially at the start of this process, you're looking for progress, any movement, not necessarily perfection. Your bowels aren't going to just start working and be perfect. Yeah. It takes time, and that's the key, is patience and time. So sometimes if you're stuck and you're showing very little improvement over time, then you might need to address other factors like parasites. So, because these critters, they often are at the root of constipation. When you're constipated, we often find that there's parasitic infections that are blocking the body's ability to flow.
So, but why would parasites affect the colon and make things constipated?
Well, the colon is a major detox organ. And with all the waste products sitting in there, think about what these critters feed off of, right? And they're going to do their best to avoid being eliminated out of the body. And they produce a lot of different types of enzymes that they, like slow down our gut and the motility in our gut. So that's going to aid to the constipation factor as well, which a lot of people don't think about.
True. So the next step is we have the liver and the bile ducts.
Yeah, so just above the colon in the drainage funnel, the liver and the bile ducts, the liver is like the reservoirs. They collect the wastewater from the entire town. The liver works to separate the water and the wastes, and then the water can be cleaned and sent back to the house to be reused.
And then as far as the waste is concerned, the liver filters out the toxins from the blood and then processes them for elimination. So these are then deposited in the bile. The bile is released through the common bile duct into the small intestine during digestion. Some of the bile is caught up in stools and eliminated, and that helps lower the toxin level in the body. Overall, it's a good system, but sometimes harmful factors can disrupt it.
When you have blocked bile ducts, people don't really think about their common bile duct, but it is a big issue. And a lot of parasites actually like to
hang out there.
They like to hang out there. They're, parasites can get really tiny and they could get in there and they can block the flow of the bile. And just like the drains in your home can get clogged up, so can the bile ducts. As a result, the toxins and the bile acids get stagnant and they accumulate in the liver, potentially damaging the organ. And on top of that, stagnation breeds sickness. So if you're not moving your toxins out efficiently, these toxins can contribute to chronic illness. So think about like if the toxins are sitting in your body, they're not being pushed through. And think about all the blood that interacts with the intestines and the colon and how all of that can create a lot of inflammation in the body and become toxic blood.
Chronic situation. So there's a lot of different factors that can lead to bile duct inflammation and to overall narrowing of the duct and damage, blockages, and some of those are bacteria themselves. So what kind of bacteria?
Well, there's a couple of different, we have Pseudomonas, Klebsiella, there are a lot of different parasites. They invade the bile ducts and they create inflammation in these tubes.
And then there's drugs, of course. So pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, antidepressants, things like that. They can really get in there and disrupt the bile flow.
Even excess estrogen. So when you have increased estrogen levels, what's happening, like people are taking a lot of birth control. If they're offering it to children at very young ages. And people do a lot of hormone replacement therapy. And this increases, when you're taking this stuff, it's going to affect the risk of gallstones. And it can lead to a lot of these bile duct blockages.
And that's the same with parasites. I mean, there's liver flukes, there's roundworms, and they can physically obstruct the actual bile duct. So that's an actual, little bugger in there blocking the system up. What else?
Well, toxins. One of the major toxins that we have is glyphosate. And there's a lot of other chemical toxins that can trigger and reduce the bile production and the flow. And they've seen a lot of this in animal studies, but glyphosate is one of the big ones because it's rampant and you see it on a lot of the tox panels that we receive back. Glyphosate is very high in our society,
sadly. So that's why it's so important to do what you can now to remove the toxic load in your life, if you can, by eating organic, having a clean source of water, most notably distilled if you can, and then to take HMET binder if possible, because that's going to bind to the chemical toxins and remove it.
Environmental toxins, heavy metals.
Yep,
A big one is glyphosate. That
Yes.
works very well with that.
definitely. So what else? There's one other thing that
If viruses.
triggers. Yes, viruses.
Mhm.
Our friends, the viruses. So what kind?
Hepatitis, herpes virus infections, they can cause bile duct inflammation as well. And sometimes this inflammation that happens in the bile duct can cause scarring by all the factors that we mentioned above.
Mm,
And what happens is it disrupts the sphincter of Oddi.
yes. So we're going to show you what that looks like. Sphincter of Oddi. We have a nice little picture here. So here's the larger pull-out aspect of the body. Here's the heart and liver. And you zoom in right here and inside the pancreas. Right around here, you have the bile duct. There's the duodenum, and there's that lovely little sphincter of Oddi. So that's a muscular valve called sphincter of Oddi. Controls the release of bile into the small intestine. It's kind of a funky name because it's named after a medical student. He identified the valve back in the late 1800s. We think he's Italian. But basically, you can have scarring there. And it also is affected by if you have a shortfall of the thyroid hormone thyroxine, which is T4. So that's really important for the thyroid, as thyroxine also triggers the sphincter of Oddi to relax, and it enables bile to flow through. So if you don't have enough thyroxine, such as in hypothyroidism, the sphincter of Oddi might not even open when it should. So then you can have toxins and bile acids backing up in the liver and in the bile ducts. So we want to just show you that beautiful little sphincter. Now you know. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so, looking back at the initial screen we showed you with the picture of the drainage pathway, we thinking about like, well, what's happening in the liver. If the liver is blocked up and the toxin-laden bile goes into the liver and the bile ducts are backed up and everything can't flow down the drainage pathway funnel, it flows out into other tissues and organs instead. So that could lead to uncomfortable symptoms and it can damage the organ. So when the liver can't push the bile into the bowels, it opens a trap door.
Right. So we should show that.
Yeah.
And so when you talk to different patients about that, what does that look like? A trap door.
Well, patients might be saying, "Oh, I have a rash.
Yes.
I have some itchiness of my skin. I have these little bumps on my skin. Maybe psoriasis might come out, or any kind of skin-related type rashes, or they can have lung issues. Like maybe they spot something in their lungs, or they have like you hear them having like cough or mucus buildup. And one of the big things that we see all the time is people saying, "Oh, I have a UTI," or "I get chronic UTI," or they never have UTIs and all of a sudden they have a UTI.
Yeah.
And what most people want to do is what are they going to do? They're going to treat the UTI, but really it's an upstream problem. And why is the UTI? Why is this infection happening? Well, the dirty blood that's being dumped back in, most of the time is creating some kind of infection, but it's usually we need to go back and we need to push drainage and get the liver cleared out.
Yeah. So you can see over here on the left, this fully functioning human doesn't have the trapdoor opening and dumping out here the way this one is, onto the skin and then the kidneys and the lungs. So that's where that liver just cannot push the bile into the bowels. So that's the trapdoor mechanism. Then releases it into the bloodstream. So it's really important to understand that this can also damage the lining of the the lungs and the kidneys. So that's something that we don't even think about, right? There's all these beautiful, delicate tubes in these organs, and it can be very hard on those structures. So that could be free radical damages, inflammation, and like you said, in the skin, bile acids can trigger pruritus, which is really itchy skin. And so things can get really inflamed because of this trapdoor spillover.
So people might have out of the blue, all of a sudden they have inflammation, they have an intestinal problem, they can't use the bathroom, they have constipation. And a lot of times the medical people will go in and they're like, well, we can't find anything, or or maybe it's a stone. Oh no, maybe it is. They're searching, they're not finding anything.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the body works it out, the inflammation goes down, and then everything or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes things pass. A lot of times what medical people might say is, oh, we don't know what happened. You had inflammation, or you possibly had a stone, but really what's happening is your drainage pathways are blocked up, and as a result, you're having this dysfunction in your elimination system.
Yeah, and it's a mast cell response. So it creates a histamine response, like the itching. So it's the body going, okay, well, I'm now going to do this because I'm not getting what I need. So the order of the drainage funnel is extremely important. So you have to make sure that you're eliminating, and if not perfectly 2 or 3 times a day, at least once, because without that backflow is what's so harmful, to the body. So what else?
Well, how can we promote liver and bile duct drainage? How can we help this system?
Right. So there's some wonderful products with CellCore that help sort of regulate and, help with that drainage and get it going. And number 1 is advanced TUDCA. So we'll pull that up. And TUDCA means taurourso deoxycholic acid. And I can't get to it because of this.
So what it is it's a protective bile acid that it improves the bile flow, and it guards against bile duct damage, which is greatly important. And the advanced TUDCA maximizes your liver and your digestive health. With this product particularly, there are so many other significant advantages of taking this. And if you'd like to find out, we have well over 100 articles of research articles showing the importance of taking the advanced TUDCA.
Yes, the next thing that you could do to support is coffee enemas. So this is something that's been used for eons, really, and that helps with the liver detox. You could do a coffee enema, and that encourages your bile ducts to release and let go, dilate, and that helps the bile to move through. So we need to have that happen to have a functioning and happy gallbladder, bile duct, right?
And colon.
So see if we can show the next one.
We also have something called a metabolic activator, which has iodine in it. And this is important because the iodine helps with what we were talking about before, the thyroxine. And so this nutrient, the iodine, when it goes into the body, it helps these thyroid hormones. So CellCore uses this in part of the protocol because this is what helps the sphincter of Oddi to relax and release the bile into the digestive tract.
Yeah, so the metabolic activator is fantastic. Obviously, it supports your metabolism, but it helps with the thyroid and upregulates production of cyclic AMP. But here we are with the iodine, and that's really what we need. It's a trace mineral that's essential for humans. And unless you're eating a lot of seafood and shellfish, like where else do you get iodine from? Right?
Yeah.
So metabolic activator is great for that.
And a lot of other things as well.
Absolutely.
And so all of these things are promoting the liver and bile duct drainage. The other product that we use is CT Minerals. this plant-based, they're all plant-based minerals in the CT minerals, and they have selenium, magnesium, and this can support liver detoxification. And with over 69 naturally occurring plant-derived trace minerals and 12 amino acids, CellCore CT minerals is highly bioactive, and it can perform numerous biochemical and metabolic detoxification functions.
Yes, it's very, very lovely. Next, we have kale support. So we'll pull that up. Kale support contains herbs such as milk thistle and parsley. It has all kinds of wonderful things like ginger in there, and that supports your liver and your kidney function. And that is really essential to any detoxification protocol.
And also adding zinc into your, that's a crucial trace mineral that it helps protect the liver and cells from damage. And so if you use all of these are a handful of strategies that we just shared with you to help your liver and your bile ducts, because it'll help to prepare you for a smoother detox journey, which is what we're all looking for.
Yes. So the next step up in the drainage funnel is our lovely lymphatic system. So let's pull that up. Here it is. So that it includes a network of vessels that drain fluids from body tissues. The system also covers most of the body. Rich lymphatic vessel networks supply the skin dermis and mucosal membranes, covering major organs, including the respiratory tract, nasopharyngeal cavity, intestine, mesentery, diaphragm, heart, and lungs. And the recent updates in research show that the lymphatic vessels play more of an active role in major physiological and pathophysiological processes rather than a passive one. So we've been taught that the lymphatics are just they're not that important, or I don't know, whatever. You have to do some things with your lymphatic. Does anybody know about the lymphatic system? It's becoming more and more, but what happens when it's leaky?
So the lymphatic system can leak into the bloodstream. And when you have this blood leak, the fluid goes into all the different tissues. And when we're talking with the lymphatic system, it's larger than your cardiovascular system. So you have more lymphatic fluid in your body than you actually have blood in your body. So the system, I feel like, is not given enough attention.
Right.
And yeah, so we really work with the lymphatic system in CellCore because it is cleaning out the blood that's circulating all over your body. So one of the lymphatic system's job is to go around and collect the fluid and then return it to the blood. So as this system leaks out into the tissue, right? And then there's all these different toxins floating around the lymphatic system. It travels everywhere and it pulls those back in, because the liver is working as this filter, and it's going to filter stuff through, and then the lymph nodes filter out the bacteria, the toxins, viruses, or exosomes, so the immune cells can then deal with whatever it is that the lymphatic system is picking up in the body.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the lymph doesn't always flow as much as it is needed. It doesn't have its own pump, unlike the cardiovascular system. So it needs to be encouraged to move, right? So poor lymphatic movement results in tissue swelling. If you've ever had swollen ankles, lymphedema, anything like that, that's lymph stagnation. Yeah. So when you have that, the lymph can get stuck in tissues, and when it's really stuck, it's cellulite, and that's extremely common in a lot of people because it's just stuck lymph. It's stagnant lymph. So there's a lot of different things you can do to help that. But number one is the LymphActive product by CellCore. So we'll pull that up.
So LymphActive is it's got a bunch of essential herbs. It has astragalus, burdock root, and within the supplement and to support lymphatic drainage. And we use this throughout the protocol in a lot of a few of the different phases, because it's such an important system, the lymphatic system, it needs some extra support.
Yeah, and there's great things in this product as far as getting things moving in your body. Some other things that you can do in addition to taking the lymphatic is get lymphatic massage. You know, there's a certain technique that's done that helps move that lymph, and it's very gentle. Also, there's dry brushing. So using a coarse brush and brushing from your feet up to your lymph station at the groin and from your hands up to your heart. Moving. Obviously, you know, we've all heard about rebounders, right? Jumping on the trampoline to move that lymph. Taking a walk. Because again, there's no pump in the lymphatics. You have to encourage it. And that's how you get things moving, is through your muscles contracting.
Another product that we use is drainage activator.
Yes.
And this is a very powerful drainage support for the extracellular matrix, which is in the fascia system, which is, it's an extension of the lymphatic system. And there's so many toxins that are stagnant in our tissue.
Yeah.
And so how do we get, like, people can feel, especially people with like the chronic, like chronic fatigue type stuff, and fibro, they feel so much pain in their body.
Yes.
So really getting those toxins out of the extracellular matrix and the lymphatic system is so important to become healthy and to detoxify.
Yeah. And that is drainage activator is a newer product. So we're going to talk about that more when it's officially out. But the other thing you can do is sauna, infrared, near infrared, far infrared, warms up the lymphatic fluid and just helps it sort of melt through the body and get going and moving. So those are some tactics for assisting the lymphatic system. So what's next in the drainage funnel?
Above the lymphatic system, in the drainage funnel, we have all these organs and tissues. And one of the major organs that we like to talk about is the brain.
Yes. And
the brain is the key focus here. It doesn't have a true lymphatic system. Instead, it has something called the glymphatic system
with a G.
Lymphatic. And the glymphatic system is recently discovered, not too many years ago. And it's a waste clearing system that facilitates brain-wide distribution of several compounds like glucose and lipids and amino acids. And research has found that this system functions mainly during sleep. So if you're not getting the sleep that you should be getting, then this elimination process may not be happening. So you can get a lot of neurotoxic waste built up in the body. So it's super important to get your sleep so we can get the brain drained. But again, if the colon's not draining, where is it going to go? Right. So that's why we have this elimination process and this order of how we get the system drained out to get to the brain and drain all these toxins out of the brain.
Yeah. And in keeping with that garbage analogy, like the garbage trucks, the lymphatic network in the brain functions like a fleet of garbage trucks. So that collects all the waste in the city, and then the garbage is delivered to the lymphatic system for removal. So the caveat is that the waste removal in the brain mainly happens when people sleep. So if you're not getting good sleep, you're not draining that material. So during the day, the brain, as we all know, it's busy processing. We're busy doing all the things we do. So garbage collection is a low priority, and adequate sleep is the best way to support this part of the drainage funnel.
Yeah, sleep's like fuel for the little garbage trucks that we were talking about. That trucks that are in the brain. So some possible signs that your brain isn't draining properly might be brain fog, headaches, memory issues, and a lot of people walking around these days have a lot of these symptoms. And we're seeing more and more neurologically based illnesses, Alzheimer's and dementia, and we are seeing our societies just filling up more and more with toxins. And it's such an important thing is to detoxify your body, to get rid of these
Yeah.
parasites, get rid of all this waste and everything that we're being bombarded with.
People are overloaded. They're on overload. So what's up next from the organs and tissues, lastly, is the cells. So our cells are at the very top of the drainage funnel, and they're like houses in the city. So each home has waste products, and that comes from our tubs, our toilets, and our trash cans. The cells have toxins, and they have other wastes that they need to get rid of. So some of the wastes or the toxins in the cells accumulate from external sources. So we've talked about what a lot of these are, but obviously it's air pollutants, it's heavy metals, it's mycotoxins, it's pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate, you name it, like we could go on. So, so that causes mitochondrial dysfunction, disruption, right?
Yeah, and what happens when you have mitochondria dysfunction? Everything in your body starts to break down because the mitochondria generate all the energy that you need to function and all the energy that you need to support detoxification. So mitochondria play such a big role in our body. They play a role in our immune defense. They play a role in our DNA repair, and they have to be working well to support us during our detox journey. And if they're not functioning well, it's going to lead to dis-ease in the body. So it's very important to do things that are going to support our mitochondria in our cells.
Yeah. So, I mean, the solution isn't to push like on the very beginning of your journey of detox, like on the first day. It's not like gung ho, let's do this. Because if your drainage pathways are not flowing, ramping up a detox it's just not wise. It's not a good move. And upregulating detox without supporting these pathways, the drainage pathways, would be like setting out the garbage several days in advance before the entire city's garbage collection comes on a hot summer day. And it's just a bad idea, because that would be
Stagnating,
stagnant.
stinky,
Yeah, disgusting, right?
lots of community problems, so lots of body problems.
Yeah.
Right.
So like laying the groundwork first is essential. And that way you can start healing at the cellular level first, tackling the drainage funnel from the bottom up, really. So that impacts the cells. And that, I think, makes sense.
Yeah. And to support these cells, you really need to take things like the polyelectrolyte extracts that we use, like the fulvic acid. And one of the big products that we use throughout beyond just the drainage, we go through the whole protocol using BCATP, supporting the mitochondria function and promoting mitochondria health and the ability to move the energy so we can drain and detoxify.
Yes. So, I mean, if your health is less than optimal, this is where you begin, right? This is the right track to begin on, is the drainage pathway. And if you're stagnant, that breeds illness, that breeds unwellness. So stagnation breeds sickness, kind of, because toxins stagnate, right?
Yeah. So if you have constipation, a clogged liver, sluggish lymph, and you can't detox well, then you're going to have it can be anything. You label it whatever you want, but you have to go, well, what's at the core of this? Why do I have all these toxins in me in the first place that's breaking down my cellular process?
Yeah. So hopefully this makes sense. To recap, if you really want to get these toxins out, you start with drainage. And ideally, you want to have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day, ideally. And you want to get the bile flowing. So that's using TUDCA. That's getting that sphincter of Odie going. So including getting enough iodine with the metabolic activator.
Yep, moving the lymph and using lymphatic support.
Yep.
And promoting the mitochondria function with the BCATP, the polyelectrolyte extracts of fulvic acid that we have in a lot of our products. The binders are incredibly amazing what they do. I wouldn't go a day without a binder.
No. Oh my gosh, no.
And so if you nurture all the parts of the drainage pathway, your body is going to be much more equipped for doing your deeper cleaning that
Absolutely.
down the line, which is where, which is the goal, is to get deeper and deeper into the system and to continually clean and to continually detoxify. But at the beginning, really jump starting your drainage pathways, and sometimes even midway, we'll put somebody back on drainage, because who knows what's going on in their life that starts to create more stagnation for them.
Now, when you say on drainage, what do you mean?
On the drainage protocol, we might put them back on all the supplements we just spoke about. We might get them and get their drainage pathways open again, look at their drainage funnel. Somebody has something that comes up, constipated again, they're itchy, they're having a UTI, these things we talked about before. We might go back and go, okay, well, let's look, are you constipated? Okay, so let's look at your drainage pathways. Perhaps before the full moon, we might do something that's going to really open up all the drainage pathways. And they could be halfway through their protocol, like they could be 6, 7, 8, 9 months into this. And we say, okay, let's do this. And we'll go even deeper into the body. And even more stuff will come out.
Yes.
So it's pretty amazing.
And today is a full moon, by the way. It's the second full moon of August. So the Jumpstart Kit is a great way to begin the detoxification process, since it combines supplements that are gentle to the system. And it is right here. And we've talked about, I think all of these, yeah. So these supplements are gentle on the system to aid in mitochondrial health and drainage before promoting a deep dive into detox. So here are what are in the Jumpstart: T2 minerals, kale support, BCAATP, and our friend biotoxin binder. So those will help open the drainage pathways and establish optimal health. And so there you have it. Hopefully this was enlightening to everyone, and it's a good intro to, what is this foundational process about, as far as, yeah, we all want to be healthier and detox and clean out, but doing it appropriately makes a world of difference. And I can be a testament to that.
Yeah. We can stop recording.
So thank you for being here, and we'll have another call in 2 weeks' time. And recording.